Hey guys, I'm the Maha Mechanic, and today we're going to be replacing some air filters on this Porsche Cayman S. So, let's get into it. So, before we start, here is the part number and everything for these filters that I'm going to be replacing. So yeah, now we can start the disassembly process of removing trim pieces and whatnot to get to the engine or air filters, which are going to be located around right there somewhere. So let's start doing that. So the first thing I want to remove is this little piece right here. So there's a little gap up here at the top. You can just stick your hand in there and pry it out, just like that. This is what it looked like. And right here you can see the little bump out where you can get your fingers in and just pull it out right there. So set this aside and then continue removing some trim pieces. So the next one you're going to want to remove is this plastic trim piece right here. So just like I'm having my fingers just in between, there's a series of clips all along here, just popping those out. And just wiggle it out, just like that. And we can set this aside. So let's just go ahead and repeat that process on the other side. So here are our trim pieces that we just took off. I'm setting them on a towel so they don't get scratched up or anything. So just gonna do it on the other side real quick. And there we go. Now we have both sides here and over here, all the trim panels removed. Now we can remove our next trim panel, which is just gonna be this little cover. Get your hands underneath it, just pop it up from the corners. Wiggle that out and set this piece aside. So now we got this trim piece up here removed. We can come around and remove this little carpet piece. So it just kind of fits in there with this foam on the back. Just gonna separate that. So just remove it like this. There you go. So now you can see it was kind of just pressed in there with this foam, and it was held in there actually pretty well by all this foam. So set this aside, and now we are one step closer to getting to our air filters. So as you can see right here is our first air filter. The other one is over here behind the DME or the ECU, and you're gonna have to like remove this or just swing it around by removing these 4 screws that keep it to the body. So let's go ahead and do that now. So just loosen this up. So just loosen these bolts. And for these ones down here, there is a stud. Zoom in for you guys here. For these ones down here, there's a stud that pokes through, and fasteners that hold them on are nuts, so you're gonna have to use a deep well socket for those. So with those bolts removed, we can swing the DME out of the way here. This, put it right up in that corner, and then you can pull back this. Now you can see you have access to the air filters there and there, but this oil reservoir, or this, not reservoir, but this oil tube is in our way. So we're gonna have to remove that and swing that out of the way as well. So I just put a towel underneath it just in case it decides to leak. And I also got a shop towel for when I remove it. If it starts to drip, I can just plug that up in there. But anyway, there's this little tab on here you're gonna wanna push. Remove it just like that. You see there's some moisture on my finger, but, oh, it just dripped once, so now you can just plug that up with a shop rag. Nice and tight. And now we can get that hose out of the way so we can remove that air filter over there. So I just got that hose moved out of the way and an area where it's not going to drip. So now we can take our T25 Torx bit and just remove those bolts. We've got one bolt on one right here and one right there that we need to remove. They are a T25 Torx screw. Now we're able to use these little loops here. Let me zoom in for you. Now we're going to be able to use these little loops on the top and bottom, as you can see here, to pull that out. It's in there pretty tight, so I'm going to use like a piece of rope, put it through those two loops, and use it to pull it out, pull it in. Just like that. That took a lot of force. I guess they want it clamped in there pretty tight just so that no dust comes to where the ECU or DME is and all these electrical stuff, which makes sense. So here's our old one. And now we can remove, if you guys can see here. If you guys can see here, there's two screws in there. 1, 2, and that's what holds the air filter on. So these are pretty dirty, definitely needed to be replaced. And looking in there, looks like we've got a couple leaves and stuff, so we can just get in there, clean that out, and yeah. So let's remove these screws and get this old air filter off. So just moving to the other side, just like that. There are our air filters out of the car. So now let's remove those screws that I was showing you guys on the air filter that hold the actual filter into the little housing here. I'm going to need an extension. They are T25 Torx screws. And there you go. Now we get our new one, get this one off, and get our new ones on, and then we can reinstall everything. So if we look on the old filter here, or the new filter I should say, we have these flat spot and little nub here. Those are gonna line up, oh, there goes my screw, but those are gonna line up with the flat spot here and the little hole right there. So flip this over, line these holes up just like this, and there we go. Now we can tighten down our screws again. One thing I should say about these, you actually have to thread the bolts into like the plastic holes on the filter here. You have to thread the bolts in there. I mean, it's kind of hard to get the bolts in there to begin with, and then you have to thread it in by using some force to just push the screw in there. But that's Porsche engineering for you. So I've got these installed. I found that it was easier to take the filter off and then like thread the bolts in on a little bit, and then because these bolts are kind of hard to get to because of this lip, it just makes it easier so that it actually thread and the bolt will keep falling out. Anyway, so the way you're going to want to put this in there, there's a hole right here. You're going to want to put that towards the side. If you can see, like over here, there's a hole right there. So just put the hole where it matches up, and also where it matches up on the little screw hole. So they only go in one way. If you try to put this one in there this way, it won't go in there because it's not conformed that way. But this one should go over here, and the hole for the screw here should line up for the hole, or on the hole over there, and this hole will line up right there. Just like that, wiggle it until it lines up, and then just, so you can hear there's a little click. I'll push it in just to make sure. I also lubed the little ring, these rings around here up, just so that they'd go in there, create a nicer seal, and be easier to take out in the future. So right there, you can see there's kind of a little bit of a track that this will slide into. If it's not lining up, just wiggle it like up and down and like try to get it in that track at the top, and it should just slide right in. So let's finish getting this one in. See how I just popped into that track? There we go. That one's in. And now we can tighten down, or we can reinstall our bolts on there and over there. Yeah, now that you got both the filters in and tightened down, you're going to want to reinstall your hose to your oil fill neck and your DME or ECU. Get that back in place. So let's do that now. Our hose here, just pop it back on there, push it up until it clicks. That's on there nicely. I'm going to tighten down the top ones first, and then the bottom ones, just because it might pull it up a little bit, and that's going to move where the studs are on the bottom. So, yep. And it does appear that these nuts are oval nuts. And if you've seen any other video, like of, if you've seen my video of the camber bolt install on my 2001 Ford Ranger, you know what these are for. You can see they're kind of like an oval. You're gonna feel it when you're tightening them down. They're just gonna tighten and get tight, and then loosen up, and then tighten, and then loosen up. That's just to prevent them backing out from vibrations and whatnot. It's really interesting that they have these on the ECU, but yeah, I guess they want to be better and more safe than sorry, right? So you can see there, it tightened up, and then you'll see. All right, that looks good. And now that we got all the stuff around here done, specifically that side of the filter area, we can start putting our trim pieces back in, starting with the carpet. You can see that big brick of foam right there, that's going to go in that big gap. right underneath the coolant reservoir or fill neck area. So I'm just pushing that in place here. This looks pretty good. So that's interesting. Well, I will come back when that's done making that noise. Wiggle it around there. There's clips in the middle. And over here. And on this side. So to get this in, this little piece right here has a little lip, and you kind of gotta put it under this trim panel because these overlap. And once you do that, wiggle it a little bit and it should fall in place just like this. Line up. I removed the kind of weather stripping from the car here and line up the holes here. There's little pinholes. There we go. There's one click. There should be a couple up here. Put the weather stripping down here. Sorry for the light, it's really bright. But reinstall a little weather stripping. And just like that, we've got that side done. So when we're installing these, you can see this little lip right here on the end. That lip is going to go underneath this trim piece. It's going to go underneath that trim piece right there. And that'll allow you to line up all the holes. So I'm going to do that right now. So now we got that side done. We can move over to this side and do the same thing. So with these ones, you want to make sure that this little divot here is going towards the front of the car. That's how you're going to line it up. And then just pop these back in there. This side over here is pretty self-explanatory. There's two little nubs here. There are two little holes in there, as you can see. So those will just line up. And once you get those lined up, you should be able to just press the clips in. There we go, I got the other side in. But now we're done. That was a little bit overly complicated for just engine air filter, but you know, on cars like these, they never make it easy on you. So if you found this video informative, please be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe, because that helps me out a lot. And remember, no matter your experience or your skill level, keep on improving.